us leave here inspired by the courage of those who sacrifice to ensure freedom. May we always honor the memory with gratitude, unity, and service to our nation.
Wondering if this lasts forever. Wondering when you will feel proud. If there's one thing that he didn't tell me, there is sunrise after.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the program here. Mr. Singh, I want to welcome you to the program. We recently celebrated Emancipation Day, a very large group of celebration all across the country. I think the government did very well in the celebration part of things, and I want to congratulate everyone on their hard work in trying to demonstrate our multicultural country that we live in, and we are a multiracial, multicultural country. So I deeply appreciate all the hard work that everyone did. Mr. Singh, welcome to the program.
Very good night. Good night to all the viewing audience. Yes, I will take the volume off in background music.
Come back with that, Mr. Singh.
I say you want to take the music out.
Okay, I'll second. Stop. Okay.
Right.
Good. Yeah.
Good night to your audience, the viewing audience that is, and welcome to our program. Yeah, just listening to what you were saying, Gary, and I completely endorsed that we had a very well attended Emancipation Day, and like most things in Trinidad these days, they seem to be fraught with a lot of dissatisfaction by certain segments of the population. Not everybody, not all segments, but certain segments. And I get this strong feeling that they're trying to deflect. They mean the PNM is trying to deflect from the real issues. And the real issue most pressing at this point in time is the question of the Balize House financing. So as PNM in true style, it has been their policy and is their practice that whenever things get tight on their end, they go after the race card. And this is exactly what is transpiring today. They play the race card conveniently when they're under pressure, and they're under some serious pressure in trying to explain the financing of the Balize House. So they will do all in their power to deflect from any sort of attention being paid to that scenario.
But, I want those who get caught up in this kind of a race conversation and believe what is being propagated there to look at their situation and their livelihood and see who benefits the most, and watch who is propagating or trying to fuel this kind of agenda, which does not benefit anybody in the country, while our government is working very hard, to bring across, the national unity, to promote multiculturalism in our country. We have ministers that are working very hard, all across. All the ministers have been really working very hard in trying to get things done in the country, taking into consideration the deterioration that the PNM caused, within the last 10 years, especially, but they are using every tactic, to deflect from that and to kind of create chaos. But go ahead, Mr. Singh.
Well said, Gary. And I must, admit to that scenario because you know for too long, for too long, certain segments of the population have been suppressed, oppressed, and what have you. For the better part of 10 years, 2015 to 2025, so to speak, when there were a lot of oppression of people, there were a lot of geographic discrimination against people. There were lots of the same discrimination as far as financing and funding of all the corporations south of the Caroni River. But you never hear a word about it. No, the same people who are complaining today, they were all quiet. Suddenly they seem to have found their voices. And what is the voice they're trying to get out? According to the woman who was attacking the Michelle Benjamin MP for Maruga, is that, oh, they did not keep their promise. And what was their promise? UNC promise has always been to govern for all of TNT. All of TNT. Right? So for one person to just stand out of the crowd and say, we're hungry, you know, and this and that. But to me, one, she doesn't seem hungry. She has a lot of weight on her system, so she can't be starving, you know. But with all seriousness, to say that you promised us this, yes. Rowley also promised not to close down the oil Point de Paix refinery, and what did he do?
But Mr. Singh, before we go on to that part, Michelle Benjamin is one of our very hard-working MPs. Michelle works non-stop. I mean, Michelle will respond to a message from me like 2 o'clock in the morning because she's
Correct,
still up.
correct.
All right,
Absolutely,
and it
absolutely. correct.
hasn't been a thing that I asked Michelle to help do it and she didn't do it.
Absolutely. The
All
same,
right, so
I can vouch for that same sentiment, Gary, because you look at what the recent carnival and you look at Flava, that was a big, big success. And who are the people, or who were the people who benefited most from Flava? So to say that the minister or the UNC is discriminating against certain segments, yet the ones who are shouting and screaming that that is the narrative are the ones who are benefiting the most on certain occasions, like the carnival, like the flower, like the Emancipation Committee, they always get more funding. Look at see, if you compare it against Indian Arrival Day, because you're comparing apples with apples. But what has happened is that everything is treated and mixed up. So they comparing the religious festival and and the Indian Arrival Day celebration. They are two distinct things. On religious occasion remain religious occasion. You know, Indian Arrival Day or Arrival Day as they wish to call it in some quarters, and emancipation are celebrated for what? The freedom of people. So there's a big hullabaloo about why was there Indian instruments at the opening of an emancipation function at UTT. But I want to really remark that at or a fair amount of Indian functions also have Steelman playing the national anthem. So where's the hue and cry about it that time? You know, so again, these things are really reflective of P&M strategy to use the race card when the chips are down and when they're up against the wall. And they are up against the wall at this point in time. At this point in time, they are up against the wall uh, because they don't seem to have a clue on how to explain the funding or the source of funding for the build out of Balize House.
But
So
not
they,
only that, the billions missing and unaccounted for in the country, how they spent the money, the taxpayers' dollars, and what was delivered for it. They can't even it doesn't match up at all. They went as far as trying to brutalize the Auditor General. Then they went after the Regulator General. I mean, it's I mean, all these things done, and these people are so shameless, and yet some people are getting caught up in that. You
yeah.
have to really have to wake them up.
So this is the deflection what I'm talking about. They don't see the issues. The issues. What are the issues at stake in the country right now? Crime, of course, it's crime. It's been crime for the longest while. The better part of 12 or 13 years or more, even longer than that. But look at last year. Last year we had about 240 odd crimes less than the previous year. Isn't that a big achievement? A 42% reduction in crime? Yeah, of course it is. But you don't hear them speaking about that. You don't hear them speaking about that. And you look at where the zones, the crime zones are. They're mostly in their PNM constituencies. So to say that there is neglect by the UNC of not delivering for the PNM
1 second.
constituencies.
Welcome, Dr. Stephen Ramroop. Thank you for joining us.
Hi guys, hi guys.
I
Yeah,
got,
Dr.
I
Ramroop is
got,
joining us out of Canada right now. He's go ahead, Mr. Singh.
yeah, so with that in mind, I really see it as a deflection. There's a deflection on using the race card as PNM has always done and pursue that as a policy when the ships are down, when they're fighting for survival and what have you. So
But
that's
look at
my
the criticism. Look at the criticism about the police post. We talked about that so many times about getting this done. It is finally getting done. I mean, you. I mean, are you nuts? Something wrong with your head to condemn extra security, extra protection? We finally getting that source that we definitely need because have you seen on the level of recklessness throughout the country? You know.
yes, and even though a lot of statistics are being used to publish and quantify that crime is down, apparently is the sentiments of people really, emotional sentiments that people are, I think, worried about more. But the actual data shows that crime is down. So that's a positive for the current government.
So the thing about it, what I know, so somebody made a comment in one of the articles. I can't remember exactly. Crime is down, so why you need the police post? So quit while you're succeeding, right? And let us leave it. It's down, but it's not finished.
That's right.
It's down. We didn't stop all the crime.
They leave it hanging. That's their policy.
Yeah,
That's how they do things.
because some people are benefiting by the chaos. Let's look at this for 1 second before we go on.
Public disorder outside Extra Foods, Chaguanas.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Mr. Singh.
I guess is Mommy Nice voice at play, you know.
But they are so comfortable to do what they're doing for a lengthy period of time, and there is no police in the area. So this seems to be keep some people seem to be happy with that. That we can't
That's
restrain the
right.
situation. That you could do what
Absolutely.
you want. You know. For all this going on and no police reach there. Just imagine that, right?
Yeah,
Because these people are comfortable to do what they're doing, right? So to
definitely.
add the police and the army to bring some restraint, they don't want that. Go ahead, Mr. Singh. Dr.
Yeah,
Ramon too.
yes, totally agreed. And, I will endorse the police force if that's a means of trying to keep the crime further down. Some people are arguing why this area, not that area, why do we have it in our area and it should be somewhere else? But the ones who are contending that, where is the data to suggest that your area doesn't have crime to warrant a police post?
But not only that,
So
should you wait until something happened, then to act?
that's
These are
that's the point.
preventative methods. These
That's
are
the point.
preventative methods. This is a resource that they had to prevent the situation. Go ahead.
Yes. Yeah. So this is exactly what you're saying. It's a preventative option if you don't have crime. But in areas of high crime, again, the presence, a police presence, is always seen as a effective tool. And by not having a police presence, means that the criminals have a free day, as you just saw in the video just now. Opposite Extra Foods, I think it was in Shogunas. That is where, oh, no police presence, man. Let's do a free for all. We can do what we want and get away with it.
No, that's a
Steal, rob.
place. That's a place we could have walked freely without an
Yeah.
incident.
Yes.
Rarely
Yeah.
something ever happened to. I mean, you could walk there any hour of the night. We can't do that no more.
We can't do that no more. And not, nowhere is safe anymore, boy. Nowhere is safe because these guys seem to be hunting in, low crime spots and so on where people
Because
have
they
lived.
have gotten used to doing it and knowing they can get away with it. You
Yes.
understand? This thing
Correct.
that happened overnight that they could be so comfortable to do what they're doing.
I've always stood by someone in crime. Sometimes you have got to use some harsh measures, and I wish we can get some of these Muslim countries that they implement what's called Sharia law, that they incriminate you and put you away within 24, 48 hours. That's it. One time, no, no burden on the state anymore. One time they get rid of you. So one wonders if that is not a better solution. But you know what? You see all the human rights people coming out and this and that and that. But only when you are affected by crime, then you begin to think, in a radical form. But once nothing has happened to you, you kind of live your life easy, normal, not like nothing
But
is
but
going
before
on.
even we get to that point, Mr. Singh, just the fact of a law-abiding citizen owning a firearm, a pistol, it seems to be causing so much disturbance in the minds of people, but they are not disturbed about the criminals roaming the country every day with heavy automatic weapons and shooting up the place, shooting each other, shooting up the place. That don't bother them. But chaos starts when a law-abiding citizen wants the right to defend themselves and the means to do so. All of a sudden, that is very disturbing to their minds. Think about
And
it.
it brings us back to the point we had discussed early on this year about the FUL. Some people were adamant that this thing is going to create chaos. it's going to happen, have a lot of unwanted, you know, crime scenes around the place because people who are not used or trained to use guns properly, people who are psychologically deranged, and they give all the excuse, that why it should not be implemented, why it should not be come into force. But I think it was good legislation that they have passed it, though the implementation period has been, in my opinion, little bit too lengthy. We have not heard much about that, the firearms license since January this year. So we don't know exactly what.
Since the home defense legislation has passed, where there is no follow up, where we need to move forward is with
That's
the FUL process and addressing the commissioner of police, who seems to try to want to give the prime minister and her government, who has a mandate, some kind of opposition, when he
yeah,
should be collaborating. We
that,
need the police to train law-abiding citizens and work alongside them in the defense of themselves. Okay, I mean
yeah,
that is what we need. We don't need police working against us.
that's right. So I think the joint police, army, patrol, and the various posts and the areas that has been identified thus far are well in keeping with good policing, one, but more so in trying to gauge public opinion, because even though crime statistically is down, the perception is that crime is still rampant. So but I think the police and army presence will definitely um, go a long way to make this reduction in crime something real. People can see, yes, at least the law enforcement is doing things to keep it down. Just not resting on your laurels and say, oh, at the end of the year you publish another set of data to show crime is done. But the mere physical presence and public opinion is what also counts in this regard. So that's my take. I don't know if Dr. Ramaphosa was views on it. Well,
Uh, you guys hearing me? Yeah.
yes, Dr. Loud and clear.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I just came back from up northeast. We went to a little nice little area in Toronto called the Princess Elizabeth Territory there, uh,
Okay.
next to the lake. We stayed in a little cottage and relaxed a bit for the night with the girls. And my wife is celebrating her birthday on Saturday, so we went and had dinner, and whatever. It was nice. We just drove back down,
Nice,
you
nice,
know.
nice,
But
nice.
yeah, I was looking at what is happening in terms of the police posts and some of the comments that are being made, and it's something that we needed. I'm happy that after a while they have decided to do it, and I think that on the same program we had mentioned this as one of the
Low
plans,
hanging fruits, yeah.
strategies,
Yeah.
yeah, that we needed to see. I remember when Gary had spoken and showed a picture of a police post, which was really pathetic. Remember, Gary? And
Yeah.
it was so. I don't know if what PNM was doing when they put that post up, but it was really, really, really bad for facilities and whatever. So, um, I hope that they use the models that are or have been used in some of the developed countries to implement these posts, and that not just they are physically present for the people, but they have put in the welfare issues for the officers, and the particularly if they want to put female officers in those places. I mean, no
Hmm.
discrimination, but I mean, I am hoping that they do it properly with proper security and protection for the service for the officers. The other thing is I'm hoping that they extend it soon to the borders, especially porous borders, because we did indicate that as one of the strategies going forward to protect the inflow of things like human trafficking, illegal drugs, firearms, and other, persons who are actually coming in even just for the just to stay in the country. Because I did put up a document on the socio-economic impact of migration, and I think the government should start. I know the last 10, 12 years nobody really started it, although it has been on the table. But we have to look at the effects of the unemployed migrant population, the unschooled migrant population, and the effects that would cause going forward. So um, I am very happy that the Honorable Prime Minister and her team and the security ministers have decided to implement this. I'm actually quite. We will see the comments. I mean, the thing about it is that the current global picture all over the world, there have been a general decrease in crime, but there have been an increase in violent crimes and home invasions. I mean, if you look at Canada, for example, we are over here. They are struggling with home invasions. They are struggling with the use of young people who have been used by the older gang members or older criminals, and they have been coerced into to doing some of the crimes. Because in Canada, for example, the legislation is very protective for young people under a certain age. So therefore, they're using that loophole in the laws and the regulations and legislation, um, and a lot of the young people are being recruited, to commit some of the crimes. In Trinidad, I remember when I was doing some work in the casualty in San Fernando, when I was the head of casualty for about 10 years. We started what was called the Injury Surveillance Database, information system that was intended to create a trauma registry. Um, Now I really, I'm hoping. I'm always hoping. I mean, now 65. I'll be 65 on the 9th of September, and I'm a bit frustrated now that successive governments have failed to see the need to create a trauma registry, because the trauma registry allows government and private stakeholders to look at all the key elements that actually cause injuries and deaths in the country, and mitigate them. And I remember in 2009, I remember when somewhere around, yeah, around 2000, 2001, when we started the database, we began seeing an increase in the use of firearms, guns, and away from the use of cutlasses and machetes, for example. And we started to see gang warfare, or gang members committing a lot of the injuries. And I remember that time we talked about the tip of the iceberg, and that what you were seeing in terms of injuries, sorry, deaths, what you were seeing in terms of homicides, um, it was just the tip of what was happening in terms of injuries or reported injuries. One of the problems we're having is a lot of the injuries that come into the hospital, they are not reported. A lot of those injuries are, for example, domestic injuries, land dispute injuries, injuries that are obtained because of intentional harm or intentional self-harm, as you know, suicides and suicide attempts, etc. So we were seeing a lot of classification into different categories, and we were beginning to see the iceberg, as it were, the injuries and the injury patterns. And we were looking at, for example, injuries on the highways, for example, and the police would have 10 deaths in the highways, but we were seeing hundreds of injuries coming out of motor vehicle accidents, and a lot of these were not even reported to the police. So clearly, there were some trends which were looking at epidemiological issues in terms of our highways and byways, where we had quite a lot more accidents on the highways that are not being reported, causing quite a lot of injuries. And this was significantly showing a lot of causes, such as at that time we were seeing a lot of people sleeping away on their wheels, and that as a major cause of accidents, sleeping away. And this is where we had found out that even at that time, like 2000, 2001, 2002, that we have a number of diabetics, for example, who drive on our highways, and they were getting sleep apnea in that they're not sleeping at night and they were sleeping away on the steering in broad daylight, even when the diabetes were out of control. So even at that time, 2000, we were beginning to see an increase in the gunshot type injuries compared to machete injuries. We were seeing a lot of increase in falls in the elderlies, which as you know, is one of the leading causes of injuries all over the world. And we were beginning to see a lot of car accidents or motor vehicle accidents on our highways and byways. When I left the hospital in 2011 to go to the ODPM, apparently everything just stopped, and whoever took charge there stopped the injury surveillance system. They did not go ahead because at that time, when I started initially, I was working with CAREC. As you know, CAREC was what CAFA is now. Yes.
Yeah.
So what happened is that we were working then, and as a matter of fact, we were working with WHO through the University of Ottawa, and we had shared our database with the University of Ottawa, and we did publish a couple of papers with the University of Ottawa and CAREC at that time, and I was the lead investigator. And as a matter of fact, some of the papers have been produced and it is available globally, right, to look at some of the trends that we were beginning to pick up. As a matter of fact, the Ministry of the Ministry of I think it was Trade and
Uh,
Industry. They actually came across to my casualty, and they began to do another study with respect to appliances and home appliances causing injuries, right? And that was happening too because we were looking at people who were buying equipment like microwaves and all of those things, and it was exploding.
yes, yes.
So we were beginning to see trends in Trinidad and Tobago, and this is what a lot of people are bringing in, like very inferior equipment at very low prices in some of those, stores. They're getting cheap brands that are rejects from factories where you have different grades of microwaves, different grades of whatever. A lot of Spanish products, a lot of Indian products that were coming in, etc. And a lot of these are not in accordance with international specifications for all the sort of things, and people were getting injured and whatever. So I am saying, I mean, it's always good, and I'm very happy that they're doing what they're doing. But like Samantha and I mean, some of the other persons on this program, we have always been saying is that we need to really sit down and strategize. When you implement a program, it must be part of a bigger program. The program that is happening now with the police posts, it is going to bring its benefits. And at this point in time, it is probably opportune to sit down with the key stakeholders now and plan going forward because as I said, there's a big issue with the migrant population. Although a lot of the evidence coming from all over the world has not directly linked migrant encroachment or within societies as causing more crimes. But in Trinidad and Tobago, there has been an increase, and the reason why it has shown is because they have not been providing schooling for a lot of these migrants. They have not taken them off the street, so to speak, and a lot of young persons are living in homes without going to schools. At a certain point in time, over 10 now, 11 years, a lot of these children are now on the streets at the age of 11 to 14. And therefore, the gangs are going to be formed and the gangs are going to be very lucrative, for them to get into because it's like Canada. They're going to be recruited because of their age. And this is why you're going to be seeing a lot of persons doing what some of these young people are doing, in front of the extra foods and shagonas and in a lot of the other areas, you're going to be seeing this because we're having a lot of attraction by the gangs, producing an opportunity for some of these unemployed youths and some of these persons who are currently in socioeconomic situations that where you have single parents, for example, where you have four different children for four different fathers. Some of these children are not even going to school. So even the fact that we still have legislation in this country that actually allows us to pick up people or children who are under a certain age from the streets and get them into institutions because they want everybody to be in schools. A lot of these enforcement issues has to happen, you know, and I'm hoping that that all of these things would happen using the police force as you know, as an opportunity to get into the respective community. So yeah, I'm all for it. I do endorse it. I hope that it works well, but I hope it is not just I always tell my patients, you have arthritis, you have have a structural damage with your nerves, but it's like a table. You're varnishing the table, you're making it look a little pretty, but as soon as you touch it, it shakes. So the problem is that, yeah, prettying up the place with the post is nice, but you have to make sure that the structure is there, the strategy is there, the plan is there, that there is an overall plan. I would have loved to see in the overall plan in which these police posts are part of that plan. In other words, and not just coming one morning and said, okay, we're going to put 46 or 100 posts all over the country. I would love to see how it is connected and interlinked to all the current scientific triggers for crime in countries like this. I've mentioned a few. There are about 10 or 12 others. We have post COVID mental illnesses. We have the current wars that are being all over the place. We have the migration patterns coming from Venezuela, right? We have social media, which is a big, big issue in terms of social media engagement, bullying, recruitment into gangs. The whole social media issue is right now in a lot of countries contributing to over 40 to 50% of crimes in juvenile and young population. So
Yeah.
again, I would like to see how that is incorporated with probably the IT ministry, together with the police force and in some of our communities, using some of our persons who were engaged in the elections as street captains and all the persons who supported them, get some of the persons who are not being seen involved, and they're grumbling. I'm seeing a lot of the Natex people and the families getting positions and jobs and whatever. All of that is fine, but also I'm not seeing the grassroots people who are on the ground moving people and getting people out. I mean, I'm not seeing them getting an opportunity to contribute, and I think a lot of this is starting to there are rumbles in some of the areas. I mean, I have patients in my office, and I have a restaurant now. I have people coming by the bar, and I'm getting a grassroots sense of frustration and non-involvement. And this was exactly what happened in the People's Partnership in the third to fourth year of their governance. So I'm hoping, and this is happening early in this one, probably because they don't have much money to go around, you know. So I think that's it. I mean, I've said a few things. I hope it's taken in the context in which it is meant to be. Yeah.
Doc, a lot of what we said here was, seems to be implemented, so go ahead, Mr. Singh.
Yeah, totally agreeing with Doc. But you know what, Gary? We said most of these things already, early on this year and late last year. We were gung ho on measures, low hanging fruits, where we need to beef up security, among other things. And that in combination with the DNA lab, the forensic lab, and the
But before we get to the scientific part of things, right? How what I'm interested in seeing here is the how since we got the police post going now, how do we incorporate the community now working alongside the police post? You understand what I'm saying to you? So it should be police, army, and local citizens of the area. We need to get to that stage. So we need that relationship building now, and we don't want the police going and sitting in the trailer or the container there, playing cards and making cook, and while the not patrolling. So this thing has to be taken seriously. We need some serious engagement with the community, the councillor, the MP, where they help facilitate a plan of action where we can cause more restraint, because the more manpower you have, the more eyes you have, the more educated the people are, and the more training there is, the better the results we will get. Go ahead, Mr. Singh.
Yeah, but I don't know how strong the relationship is between the police and the public. I think the public has been disappointed
Yeah, but
on
that would have to
several.
be rebuilt, and they have to prove themselves
That,
all over again.
that's what
But
that's
before
what
I go on, I want to welcome Nadira. Nadira was saying hello to Mr. Singh. She was also saying hello to Dr. Ramrup. Go ahead.
hello there you are. Yeah, I think the public trust has been broken several times. Every time, it's building that, it has to be
Severely
rebuilt.
damaged. Severely damaged.
Yeah, it has to be rebuilt, and it will rebuild that as a stepping stone with the community-based policing and so on. You're starting from the ground up, and like everything else. Like, for example, one of the more popular comments you hear about law enforcement is that, you know what, everybody knows where the druggies are except the police. Why is that a comment? If it's true, that it means the public knows everything, and all the police knows everything, but they're either scared or they have a hand in all of this. So you see that public sentiment, what I was alluding to earlier. This is what it is. I feel like personal, as a personal person, or you as a person feel that the police knows where the drug lords are, but they are either scared to touch them or they have a hand in this thing, a behind the scenes hand. And so the public who reports these incidents and say, you know what, down the street there, around the corner, there, that house, they always, people come and go and buying because chain, jewelry, all these things happening. The police knows about it. You complain to them about it, but nothing seems to be happening. And this is why the sentiment part breaks down. And this is where the police or law enforcement faces, they say, oh, we're not getting the cooperation of the citizens, blah, 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 and all the excuses. But they don't say what the shortcomings are on the police side of business. That's why I said this thing has to be built from the ground up, the community-based policing, and you start from there. Let certain members, good character and so on, start with this community policing. They know where everything is. They know who the bad boys in the area. They know who are the good ones, or ones likely to commit crimes and so on, who are socially depressed people, and economically as well. So they know, the community people will know to come. So that's why community-based policing is good. It's good for any community. So I hope that's in most cases that practically possible. We do have a lot of people from the community to man these posts or the policemen in the community and so on, as well as focus groups, as well as the involvement of things like the community center, the village council. It has to be a total effort, Gary. I don't think.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is
Well,
the leadership has to come from the MP office. The leadership has to come from the
yeah,
councillor,
that's the thing.
and there
That's it.
has to be a strategy which formulates from the Ministry of Homeland Security, where this is factored in, right? And that has to be part of the plan of action, because if we want to continue, it's a police operation, and don't indulge the people in the community, then we heading down a very bad road. But
Yeah, and
if we want the results, first of all, the people in the community is the ones who are really affected there. Okay,
mhm.
so this is personal. All right. So I mean, if you are assisting them, you are there to support them. You are there to assist them and help educate them in defending themselves and their community. that will be the greatest result that we can get. But if you are there to be a thug, a bad boy with a gun, and gallivant yourself, and and not engage the community, then you're not serving the purpose that we're looking for.
That's right. That's right. And that I think that divergence between the community and law enforcement is always there, and they have lost faith on several occasions. You can't blame the people, you know. They,
Mr.
they
Singh and
share.
Dr. Ram, there's been far too many incidents of betrayal.
Correct. Too many, too many, too many. So that confidence building is not there. And people have been disappointed for too long. For too long. Every time you start, or you try to say, okay, let's start from scratch. Okay, then the same old plays out again. So that confidence building among the community with the police and the army is just not there. So you no longer trust them. And when you hear the stories that, the police are part of this overall plan, or they are on the side of the criminals, and what happened normally, how many times you report uh, in the station, you go and as a law-abiding person, you go and you report this crime, hey, little or nothing is being done. So that confidence building measure is just not there. And that is stemming for very good reasons. It's not there because the people have been disappointed for too long.
And such are reasons that we made such an effort to change government, because we wasn't getting the result that we needed. I mean, you are in immediate danger within your own bed. You know, you can't walk the street in peace. You're getting robbed, killed, shot, you name it. And these criminals, like we see with these people behaving in the street there, were very bold in what they're doing because they get used to doing it without anybody able to restrain them, or the response is poor, so they know they can continue to be as bold faced as they want.
Yes, Gary, remember we touched on the low hanging fruits of crime? Where the body cam, the dash cam, the cameras on the traffic lights and so on. Well, we don't know about these things. What is happening with these things? Is how many dash cams or body cams there are around? How many of these security cameras at strategic traffic lights are in operation, are working, so to speak? Where's the data being sent to? Who controls that data? Why, all these sort of things, we don't know anything much what is happening. And as you said, and I was going to allude to just now, that it has to be a holistic approach. We have always said that. You know, the when you go there, you catch a criminal or potential criminal. What is
And
it
the
for? What
strategy,
is
the
it for the
formula, the implementation has to come from Homeland Security. It
from
has to
mountain?
come. It has to come from Homeland Security. There has to be directive. There has to be orders. There has to be SOPs in place,
Nice.
and a
Correct.
training program. We need a police force that will train citizens, will be interested in training citizens in defending themselves, not just walking the street with a gun and like a bully. You know.
Uh, and this is the thing, is a holistic approach where it's a community involvement, yes. Only when I see that I'm convinced, then I'm going to be a worthy community member to assist the police. Other than that, I ain't going there, because a lot of police insiders are in the system as well. So they say, boy, Mr. So and so, he's the one who brought the report against you. Let's deal with him
And you're dead
tomorrow.
before you reach back in front of your
Uh,
gap.
You see, this is the thing. So that confidence building measures are just not there. And that is a starting point. For me to have confidence in you, you have to show confidence and respect for me. Make sure my privacy is there, make sure whoever makes a report and so on it doesn't get into the hands of, criminals or part criminals or somebody who can, do harm to you or your family or extended family.
The
This
Northeast
is
Police Force has to be assigned vehicles, right? And the officers should be responding from a shorter range. They're not coming from Columbia Police Station when you have
correct.
something down happening down in Boykato Road, down in Las Lomas. There,
Uh-huh.
now you're getting or Las Lomas Road. You're getting a police post within. So the response is not coming from the Columbia Police Station. It should be coming from that location.
Vicinity with that
Yeah. So the
immediate.
distance is shorter. The response is quicker. We have more effective patrolling.
And especially if it's community based, they know all the shortcuts, the hideouts, exactly where to look. They know exactly where to look.
Like I always say, I'm more interested in deterrence first.
Yes, yes. But what I was saying too, Gary, there has to be something coordinated. You don't want to catch criminals and go through a lengthy judicial process, and in the end, it's a 10-year wait, and then after 10-year wait, you have no choice but to free the guy up. What does that say? What does that say about the legal system? We want to put away these people as soon as they catch them in the shortest possible time. Whether you have to set up night courts, weekend courts, what have you, special courts for traffic offenders, special courts for pre laws. Get the ball rolling, man. Get the ball rolling so people can see things happening. Don't, the present system is now, everything gets clogged up, is lumped into one big file, I guess, or criminal file, and it's a pecking order. When your turn comes up, then you go on trial. That can't be like that
It's a
because
culture we developed now, Mr. Singh and Dr.
yeah,
Rambo.
but you see, some petty crimes, for example, get locked into serious crimes, and then the delay is across the board. The delay is across the board. So what have you is the petty crimes with has to wait its turn among the dealings with the serious crime and average crimes and what have you. It should never be like that. There has to be some sort of classification to say, well, this is a minor offense, that is a minor offense, like that. And you peg the serious ones and you try to do, I saw them attempting to do some reform in the system.
Community service and stuff like that.
Yes, and for first-time offenders and petty offenders and so on, you can get away with that and don't clog the system up, but rather deal with the system in an expeditious way, rather than having to say we have so many crimes and we have to go in the turn in which they came in and so on. That's all wasting time, because you can free up a lot of the system in a way to handle the serious and ultra serious crimes in a different or from a different perspective, and leave the petty crimes and the not so serious crimes to be dealt with quickly in a in an expeditious way, as I say. So the system kind of frees itself up, and you don't everybody don't get lumped in to this pecking order. Serious crime, not so serious crime, petty crimes, everything has to wait its turn. No, it can't be like that. That's why the night court and the weekend court and court around the clock and these things, we just talk about it. Talk about it for years. We have been talking about it, but nothing seems to be happening on that regard. Where's the traffic courts? Where are those? So I see it like that. Like that. That's my perspective on it. don't need to say more anymore because I think we have been through this. We hash and rehash this
Well,
over.
I say keep on singing it. Dr. Ramop, you want to comment on some of those on this statement you just made here? Give us a little rundown.
uh, which one is that now? Uh, uh,
You just posted something there.
ah, yeah, I was actually last night when I saw the post, I was just trying to draft up something along the same lines that we had spoken about just now. In that, uh, I mean, one of the biggest problems we have is right now is trying to share information to our colleagues who are in key positions now in a sensitive manner that doesn't offend them in a way that they try to feel that it's that we're trying to tell them what what they're doing, and it's always a very very hard thing, especially if you're not within the government per se, like some of us. So yeah, we last I mean a couple I as you know I don't know if you guys know, but I am currently working with a consultancy team here, doing work that is mostly pro bono, um, in forensics and sort of trying to identify certain skeletal remains of certain populations that were victimized in the past and currently being victimized in places like Mexico in shallow graves and all of those things. So I mean, I keep busy doing some work, but it's not something I want to share too much because it's very sensitive, all right, and it's mostly for a private organization. But it does allow me to work with people who are in strategizing in global reduction, more like what we call societal resilience rather than crime fighting per se, because crime itself is a reflection of a society's weaknesses, not just in enforcement, but we talked about quite a lot of societal things that needs to be upgraded. For example, the Ministry of Social Services. We have to look at homes where we have children who are in homes where the income is not enough, to help, in terms of sustaining them, you know. So these are some of the things that I shared there. Maybe well, if you read it up, we could probably talk on another time. Though it's more comprehensive
Well, I
than
mean, you feel free, if to elaborate a little bit on it because I mean we're on the topic. So if you can, for our listening audience, we have some people listening. I would like them to understand what you are saying. Dr. Amrup? Yeah.
yeah. I hear you. Yeah.
So if you don't mind, and you have a little time, let's kind of elaborate a little bit to get some, the listening audience a little understanding. Over the years, we have sent a lot of information and we have preached, and we have sing
Yeah.
it.
Mr. Suman, just take this. I have a call coming. Just go ahead and I'll come
Yeah,
back.
yeah. Over the years, I mean, Mr. Singh, we have, reiterated these things and, you know, really emphasized so much on what we think should be done. I mean, I've seen a lot of our suggestion taken into action, so I have no doubt that we have been heard, Mr. Singh.
Yeah, but lots of best practices around the world which you can draw from, Gary. And the thing is that
Yeah, but what I said,
Prince
before we get around the world, there's some very basic common sense thing
simple. This is what it
that
is.
we
This
could do, that we don't think have the will to do it, and
that's
the
where
and the structure of management has been so damaged that there's so much of a lackadaisical style of management and You know, we have our Indian way of saying puhar. You know, that you're not happy, you can't get no effect.
Yeah, correct. But we will always be up against this problem that we we as a community see
Yeah,
that.
but we have to prepare. Well, we started out to do something, but there's a lot of training. There has to be follow up and follow through in the management to make sure that the people are doing what they're supposed to be doing, and we have the engagement necessary. Go ahead.
Yes, totally agree. But we, again, as I said, we have been through this several times before, and the
Man, sing it like a chutney, man.
sure, right. But I think the wheels of change is running much too slow in this regard because security is perhaps the number one, I will say, the parameter which is impacting development of TNT, both economically and socially. Because, once crime is always on the agenda, high on the agenda, you find certain countries, especially business investors, foreign direct investment, and so on, tourism. These people, no one wants to come to your country to invest or to see or to experience the island or the countries per se. So, when you see the traveler today or the business person today is a very, very intelligent person. This from the international space, what I'm speaking about. They know just as much as we do here about TNT without coming to TNT. So when I see, state of emergency every 3 months, that raises a red flag. Why would I want to travel to go to a country when I see SOE every 3 months? What, something is wrong down there? Huh? So why would I want to go there, for example, to do business or to spend a vacation or take my family along with me and so on? Why would I go there? There are other options in the world, you know? And that's why I say it has repercussions. If SOE, for example, has repercussions.
There
And
has to be a complete transformation of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Force. This is a must. I mean, we cannot leave somebody installed by the PNM there to dictate to us how we should fight crime or what we should and shouldn't do.
and this is what they
We
should be
need a
reporting.
transformation. Yeah.
This is what they should be reporting to us as maybe every 3 months or so. This is what we have done to
The
arrest this.
commissioner of police should be commissioned to follow the government's mandate and how we perceive to that when the people the government was mandated by the people, and certain things has to change. You can't maintain the status quo. You can't come there and want to maintain the status quo. The people change government because they want change.
Exactly the point. So um, once you see these negative readings on TNT, why would somebody wish to come here? So that when you see the economy stagnating, or when you see tourism arrival numbers in the decline, there's a reason why this is happening. And
Exactly,
you have to
and
look at
that is in the best interest. People, everybody have that. This is in your best interest for you to take the initiative to get involved in resolving this situation. This is
that's
not the
right.
police problem alone.
No,
The
Yeah, yeah.
correct.
police getting
I'm
paid,
back,
but
guys.
can yeah. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Doctor Ram.
Yeah. No. The document that I sent, I think somebody sent it to you too, and in the advisory team, is a plan that basically tells the government that what we just said is that your post is part of the community policing strategy, and it must fall within a multi sectoral, a multi ministerial responsibility, because crime is not just related to the Ministry of National Security. There's a bigger problem, all right, in terms of community policing, as you just said, Gary. And Sumanda, the police post is not just for people to sit down and make their duck cook and come out and show their face. It has a responsibility in terms of current global community policing, which we are seeing in places like Canada now, Japan, a lot of these developed countries have introduced community policing. But it's not just a police post; it's almost a dedicated hub, right? And I have identified the pillars under which the global these posts are being created in contemporary societies. And I was just mentioning, for example, one of the problems we have is that you have quite a lot of children who need to be institutionalized. We talked about the street children. We talked about the migrant nationals who are not going to school and they're home with their parents. So basically, we have a lot of problems where we have single mothers or single parents who don't work, and the children are not going to school, or even if they're going to school, they are not getting the best education, books, etc., etc. So these are where social workers need to actually visit homes, and these homes need to be flagged by some of the persons who are working with the community police, in that they can identify, just as street captains identified who are the persons to vote for particular parties. They should know every street. So if we use the strengths that we had during the elections, it can also work very well in the marginal seats. So it serves not just as a police post, it can also help the government in terms of building some resilience and building some of their constituency bases in some of the marginal seats where they will need to win in the upcoming elections in 20 local government and 2030. you know so this is the strategy going forward. It's clearly outlined. um, there might be some things to add. I don't think there's much to delete from it, but this is something that really, when you implement the police posts, this is the program that that needs to be implemented along with just the physical structure and the assignment of the officers. So I'll put it there. I mean, as I said, I don't think nobody's gonna listen to me, but
Well, it was distributed already. I don't waste
yeah,
time. All right.
yeah.
Okay. So,
Yeah,
but I wanted you to kind of bring it to the listening audience. Maybe if you need another day, we can kind of rehash it and you can elaborate a little more on another night. But I wanted you to break it down to the general public what we, basically you're saying. But I definitely thank you for all your information that you and directive that you've given us so far, Dr. Rambo.
Well, yeah. Well, what I did is I looked at what do we call it? This is called a strategic framework,
mhm.
and basically it guides the strategists or whoever they have hired as their advisors and the strategic teams in the government or in the party. In that, the first one is what we call community policing, and that every police post should adopt a definite geographic community. Um, each post would have officers who become familiar with, as we talked about just now, the residents, the businesses, the schools, the churches, the sporting groups, the NGOs, and the community leaders. Basically, what it is that they form part of the existing institutionalized organizations or associations within each one of those geographical locations. So they attend meetings of the police, of the sports association, of the Rotary clubs, of the NGOs, the faith-based organizations. They go to the churches, the mosques. So they become part of the society. The second pillar is crime prevention, obviously, and they must actually work with. I mean, I saw this in Cuba, where the military works with a lot of the communities. I remember going to Cuba, and we saw this in operation, where the Cuban government bought these small little cheap radios. Well, obviously from Russia, and they gave it out to key persons within the communities who are retired police officers, teachers, nurses, whatever, fire officers who were retired, and they had these little groups that used to meet under people's homes, and using these radios, they were able to give the military the information in terms of things like neighborhood watches. They were able to provide home security education in schools.
Real time information. Real
Yeah,
time information.
yes. Elderly protection, child protection. They know where the people in the wheelchairs were. They know when the lady went to deliver the baby and came back home, and was not able to move around the night before. They know when the guy got the stroke, and they know when the guy fell down and broke his leg and couldn't move around. They know where the old people were in the community. So this was where the community, you know, um, the community persons with those radios, they formed the network that communicated with the police. But in Cuba, it was the military post. All right. The third pillar is youth engagement. Um, and basically, we have police in schools now in Trinidad. So it's not just something that exists already. So it's just to develop that with the police posts. And I think that we have certain areas where they have identified. I know the PNM did a lot of work in Laventil and a lot of those areas, but mentoring programs, after school sports, homework clubs, all of these helps to reduce the gang. This works actively in reducing gang corp recruitment. Right, digital safety education is something that the cyber team and on the police, the police force has a cyber team. All right. This is where the cyber team has to work with maybe IT ministry and come down into some of these little schools and whatever and talk to people about digital safety education. This interrupts the pathways into gang development. These are known scientific evidence-based strategies that reduce gang involvement. You see, so um, these are the categories that we are using right now in some of the communities in Canada. And because we are seeing a lot more of these gang activities, especially with the migrant population, a lot of them unemployed, a lot of the persons who, after COVID, a lot of businesses were closed down. People don't have any jobs right now. Even some of the Canadian citizens, we have a lot of young people who are entering into gangs. So this is something that they are actually actively doing here as a government, and I mean, I'm actually involved in one of the consultancies to build the community resilience as part of the disaster risk reduction program. Pillar four, community intelligence. Now, this is something, the word intelligence, I remember working in the Ministry of National Security as a divisional head as ODPM CEO from 2011 to 2017. During that time, until 2016, when the People's Partnership was in power, I was part of the National Security Advisory Team as a divisional head of national security, sitting with the Commissioner of Police, the Chief Immigration Officer, SSA head, all of these people. I was one of the divisional heads. And I mean, I have a very, very, very strong understanding of the National Security Council, the National Security Secretariat, the National Security Integrated Threat Assessment Group, etc. So intelligence is not just SSA. Intelligence resides in the military, the police, right, immigration, customs, and intelligence really has to be in the communities, and it has to be something that is linked back to a National Operations Center. Here again is a very important role for the National Operations Center. So again, this is a very important pillar. The National Operations Center has to seamlessly integrate virtually as well as a feedback mechanism into the NOC of all these police posts, and it has to be real time. You see, the other thing is the multi-agency partnerships. We talked about all of those just now. Faith-based NGOs, local government, social development in Trinidad and Tobago is a ministry that has to do more for crime. There's a lot of domestic violence. There's a lot of land dispute violence. People are fighting each other for land right now. It's a big thing that we see. I'm actually much involved with attorneys who are doing a lot of deeds and whatever, and they have to ask me to provide medical reports and assessments to determine the sanity or the saneness of persons who are signing wills and all of that that have been contested in court. So, as a forensic medicine medical examiner, I've had numerous requests over the last few months, you know, to assist in this social in hospitals. We have a lot of children who are being abused, right? Abused by stepfathers and other persons who reside in homes, who are not working, and some of these people are sexually assaulted, right? The Ministry of Health has also to improve its sexual assault reception areas in hospitals, where doctors who are not trained in taking swabs, etc., have young people, male and female, being abused, and they are actually within the casualty departments, and they have no privacy, and everybody's watching and hushing and taking pictures and whatever. So these are some of the things that has to be sorted out as part of this whole community-based policing. All right, technology. We talked about that, right? Technology hubs and crime mapping using GIS. I mean, it's one thing to know that we have crime, but is it being passed through a central clearing house, a database that allows us to look at trending, timing? We have software that can be implemented, like the shooter software, where if a gunshot goes out in the silence of the night, we can actually locate where that gunshot is. I mean, I remember as in the National Security Ministry, when I sat at the level of the National Security Council, that a lot of those presentations of contemporary software, and a lot of these things then have been upgraded and updated. I mean, there was software that would tell you where the gunshot is located in the general area, right? Vulnerable persons, again, it's not just policing. Policing involves the person, for example, who are going to be, let us say you have a flooding or you have an earthquake or whatever. The people who are going to be experiencing more crime are the persons with disabilities, all the persons who are vulnerable in terms of children, young females, now males, high risk domestic violence victims. So again, welfare checks will tell you who are the vulnerable persons, and this is something that the policing, in other words, if you have 10 people in a room and you have bullies, we can actually tell you who the bullies are going to take advantage of. They're not going to go to the strongest guy who will look like, maybe Gary or, Roger Alexander, but they're going to go to me or Sumant or somebody like one of us, right? Sumant,
Yeah.
it's just how they profile. And I think that this is what the police have to be able to do in a community. Clearly, community resilience has a lot to do with disaster preparedness. You could even use the police force because they are first responders. They are first responders. They become the incident commanders for each geographical area legally once they're physically present. You see, a lot of people don't understand the whole thing about incident command and who is the first responder first on the scene. If there's an accident on the highway, the police reaches first. So, according to the law, the incident commander at an accident scene is the police commander, who is the most senior police officer on the scene of an accident. A lot of persons do not know that, and the police officers come there like, they don't even have a clue as to that. They command the scene. If the fire services come later with ambulances, then the fire service takes over. Senior officer takes over as the incident commander of that scene. This is written in all emergency laws in all over the world. So again, once you have a police post in the area, if there any incident, whether it's a gun shooting, a crime, a fire, a domestic violence issue, an accident, whatever, the police who are first on the scene becomes the incident commander for any disaster, flooding, or whatever, until another person comes around with the expertise and takes over. They have to be trained in incident command. They have to be trained now to initiate the whole emergency response. So a lot of training would have to be for all the police officers who are now going to come out in communities. So again, training is a very important program. So if they don't, we talked about some community programs. Every police post could either host or be part of monthly town hall meetings in the community centers of village councils, youth forums. They can have senior citizens visits, school visits, crime prevention workshops, etc., etc. I mean, I can't go through all of that. So basically, the police post should be part of a Ministry of National Security and other ministries. An interministerial committee, in my opinion, should be set up to deal with crime. I haven't seen that. We have recommended that. It's a big issue. It takes one of the biggest chunk of our budgets, and I think that an inter-ministerial committee should be set up to deal with national crime, rather than under the two ministers who are currently there. I mean, I see that as something that is imperative in terms of how we're spending our billions of dollars in terms of crime, right? So rather than focusing solely on arrests, performance indicators could include safety, reduction in how much, how much home invasions, how much robberies, blah blah blah. Public confidence. I mean, Sumant, we just talked about confidence in the police. It's a very important metric. Yeah, you can have police coming in, but if they just come in there, they go and they don't interact. You don't intervene with the youth people. How many volunteers come across? How many Rotary meetings they attend to? Blah 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 blah. Prevention, schools. Well, we have schools, but again, it's not just sitting in a school and twiddling your thumbs. The officers in the school have to be part of an education system teaching the children. I would love to know what the officers are doing in the schools. Are they sitting down in a booth? Are they coming to work and shift and doing shifts? But are they being part of teaching the children about crime and gangs and domestic violence and etc.
Well, Doc, we had here in New Jersey what they call the DARE program.
Yeah.
And the police officer who was assigned to the school was teaching the kids about drugs and different things they were
Yeah,
teaching.
so that's the question I'm asking.
Yes.
And is it that the people who are in the schools are doing these things? And what are the what is it that they're reducing the number of people beating each other? Or is it that they're talking about reducing intentional self-harm, for example, suicide in schools, security, safety when the children go to bed and when the children go to the beaches, when they go home, to look at, to be careful, to be vigilant? Is it that they're teaching them in programs? Is it that the school principal and the school supervisors are incorporating the police into some of the safety programs? I mean, these are some of the things that I haven't.
But
I haven't
the
seen.
thing about it is that we need, this is where we need Ministry of Education, right? Like this will be a multi-ministerial involvement here, right? Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, National Security. Remember, we talk all about these things, right?
Yeah.
And up to now, this day, well, we'll talk more about it off the air. But what I'm saying is, it has to be a multi-ministerial involvement here.
Yeah. So that's what I have there. I have an implementation plan, a phase 1, a phase 2, a phase 3, which will lead up to 2030. I'm suggesting use 5 or 10 of the police posts in some of our marginal seats, because these are the areas that, in terms of impact, in terms of voting, this is the people you want us to come and vote if you want to go for another 5 years of government. I mean, it doesn't have to be written, but it has to be done, if you know what I mean. Phase 2 is to evaluate the outcomes after 12 months, as I just indicated. I even listed the performance indicators. Maybe Samantha and maybe when they do sit down together and they have a team, they could actually put more in it or remove some of mine. I don't know. It doesn't. Phase 3 is to expand the practice and make it so a mature community policing strategy would contribute to reducing the fear of crime. See, a lot of times what you're seeing on the internet, what you're seeing on the responses, what you're seeing from people is how they think. The internet is where people's thoughts are. It's where consciousness is being reflected on a screen. I mean, this is an amazing thing that has happened within our lifetime. We are seeing people think, and we are seeing them think in front of our very eyes. This is consciousness at its very best, and how it's been expressed globally. So when a man writes, well, yeah, they bring out posts and the police posts, but crime is still high, and they say, well, crime come down, and then why put on a police post if the crime is down? All of these is what going through people's head, and they have the ability now to type it on a phone as soon as they think it in response. But that's one thing. But you know what it is? It tells you that there's a bigger psychological problem, right, within the country. If we remove partisan politics and we remove PNM versus UNC and African versus Indian, right, which is the race component, if you remove those elements of the equation, what you see is a large amount of people, number of people who are fearful of crime and what they see. All right, so that's basically it. So I don't know if Sumant have anything to add, but that's what I just sent. I don't know if it'll go very far, but that's what I just sent.
It's already did. So I'll talk to you more about it off air, but it's already in motion. Mr. Singh, we want to wrap up.
You can put on your mic, Sumant. You're off.
Yeah, I was reading the document on the phone what you sent, and very comprehensive. I like the part of measuring the successes in the KPI and what metrics you need to monitor and so on. Because unless you do these things, you don't know whether the plan is working or not working. And this is so relevant because far too often we'll just put up some 5 or 6 police posts and we think that is going to solve crime. No, it doesn't solve crime like that. There has to be some measurement of the data to show that yes, in this area, this police post, whatever how temporary it is creating an impact. So I like that side of it, Doc, and it's a fairly comprehensive document. I think the powers maybe we should really look into it. But then again, I always have the same question: who do you approach with these things? And if the head people at the top,
Well, listen to me, Mr. Singh. It's been responded from the top right now. Okay, as we speak. As we speak.
I hear you, Gary. But hearing and saying is one thing. It needs to have empirical evidence to show that, yes, this is happening and this is what we expect to achieve in 6 months' time down the road. And, how comprehensive is it? What sort of results we're going to achieve or look at to make sure or to tell the public 6 months from now that we have been able to solve X, Y, and G and bring down crime by X%. Because too much money is spent or allocated in this regard, and the results are not tangible. And that's my beef about the whole thing. Our national security gets so much money. Year upon year upon year, since 2003, as I can recall, 20 odd years. And instead of crime being on the decline, all over it has already, gone up. It's on the increase. So throwing
Well, you must get some retaliation, and what I'm saying is how well we manage our restraint, our deterrent strategy. How much resources we put in it. How well we manage that resource. I mean, our first objective, like I said, I always said, I am not interested in solving crime. I'm interested in preventing crime.
right.
That is my first objective. Because when somebody dead, it's not Jesus Christ to resurrect anybody.
Done that already, man. That's a way of looking at it, yeah. But you want to see tangible things over the course of the plan. And when that is not forthcoming, you got this short or so whatever, at this point, whatever the government does, it ain't going to work. It ain't working. It ain't this, it ain't that. But and you can point the flaws. We pointed it out just now. There's little or no coordination among the various ministries that are handling this thing. Where's the MPs in all of this? Where's the community based? You see, you ask the community to be part of the process, and very well take their views into consideration. Again, I said it before. The guys in the community knows where every damn drug block is in the country, or in their little village or town or what have you, except the police. So don't tell me that this thing, Gary. I will have to see tangible results in 3 months or 6 months. This thing is working. Set up the mechanism to show this is how it works, and this is what is going to be measured. And I could tell you, yes, well, this strategy is working or not working. If there's some analysis, something has to be measured, you do your gap analysis and so on to rectify the situation, and you move along. But we have been trying and trying and trying lots and lots of plans, right? Fortunately, we had some reduction last year for a number of reasons. We all went through it and so on. But the perception, as I say, and the sentiment on the ground is that we still not have gotten the handle on crime.
Well, first of all, it is the damage is so severe. It's going to take us a while to get going. I mean,
I'm sure, yeah, correct.
this 2025 period is 100 times worse than the 2010 period, because the things are the economic damage, the social damage, the damage by the criminals towards the country. I mean, the police, the policing, the management of the police force. I mean, there's so much corruption and things that we have to deal with that this is not going to be an overnight thing, but there is some work being done. We need the people involved need some guidance, and that's what we will try to do here. We've been doing it, we've been saying it, we've been preaching it. So we will talk more about this off air.
Yeah, sure.
Dr. Ram will be there.
Yeah. I'm
All right,
there.
so we will wrap up for tonight. You guys have, if you have time any other night, let me know so we can continue discussion.
Yeah. Anytime. I mean, as I said, I'm always
or anything else you want to bring forward,
I'm always available.
Yeah, Gary, myself. So now I have the time.
Yeah. So we'll see. If everything you want to address tomorrow night, we'll come on again. I have the time, we'll do that. Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock.
Yeah,
If
I'm
there's
heading back
anything.
into Trinidad on Sunday night. Well, already
Yeah.
Monday morning.
Hey,
I'll
Doc, also remember, with that training thing you were doing, I wanted to be able to highlight it, some classes, we need them to get going. So
Yeah,
I don't
well,
know.
we made the offer to them to come down. I have a big place. I have a big, boardroom. I have a big hall, and I don't have to pay anybody for any refreshment.
Yeah, right. How was
You
it?
know.
I saw you got a
But
nice response
only
with that.
only Orapooch came, and basically they went back into their in the regional corporation, and well, they were supposed to organize the follow up. So I'm not sure if what is the strategy there. I don't know. They haven't called me to confirm that. The other
Yeah.
group, they wanted me to come to a central location,
Yeah.
but I think that they could probably get a maxi and come to me. I really feel that at this point in time, I have a place. I'm located at that place. It's a school. It's just off the highway, and I think if they really want to come, they just get a maxi and come. I mean, I don't see why I need to go to Central and displace myself. All right. So if I'm offering something, then
Yeah, you
people
have the
have to make the
facility
effort.
and
If they
everything
have to
there,
go to
everything
a
is
rally,
there.
they rent a maxi and they go. So
Mhm.
you have
Yeah.
to give to get, and I'm very strict about that. If you want to learn, then I'm providing the learning at my establishment at no cost. But then get your ass there. That's all.
Correct. Absolutely correct.
You know what I mean?
with it. Yep.
All right, guys. Good night. So we'll talk again soon. If there's anything develop tomorrow night, we will go live again.
Sure.
Yeah, all right.
That's it.
All right,
Okay.
then.
Great.
Good night, everybody.
Okay,
Thank you.
guys.
Good night.
Take care.
Good night, everyone. Naro, lock up here.
Love like a satellite, all of the stars align. No one but you and I, from now till the afterlife. Love like a satellite, all of the stars align. No one but you and I, from now till the afterlife.
In my heart there is some pain, don't ask me why, I can't explain. Maybe I did love her too, now there's nothing I can do. On the other side of town, her love is waiting on. As she's waving me goodbye, I think my heart is gonna cry. वो चली देखो प्यार की गली, उसे रोके ना कोई. वो चली ना 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 मेरी जान, देखो जाना ना वहाँ. कोई प्यार का लुटे ना मेरी जान. वो चली, she's found a love that's real. Now her wounded heart is healed. Finally, वो चली, leaving all her tears behind. Only love is on her mind. Finally.
मैं साया बन के साथ तेरे रहना 24 घंटे, मैं रहना 24 घंटे. मैं आँखों से चुरा लो जाना तेरे जो भी गमते, हाँ तेरे जो भी गमते. मेरी बाहों में आके तू जाना नहीं, ऐसे रब से मैं मांगू दुआ. तेरे दिल से ना कभी खेलूंगी सारे राज. तोरी फुर्सत भी मेरी जान कभी बाहों को दीजिए. तोरी फुर्सत भी मेरी जान कभी बाहों को दीजिए. आज की रात मजा हो सका आँखों से लीजिए. आज की रात मजा हो सका आँखों से लीजिए. वक्त बर्बाद न बिन बात की बातों में कीजिए. वक्त बर्बाद न बिन बात की बातों में कीजिए. आज की रात मजा हो सका आँखों से लीजिए. आज की रात मजा हो सका आँखों से लीजिए. जान की कुर्बानी लेने दे बढ़ जानी, तबाही पक्की है आग तुम्हें पानी. जान की कुर्बानी लेने दे बढ़ जानी, तबाही पक्की है आग तुम्हें पानी. मेरी महबूब समझिए जरा मौके की नज़ाकत. मेरी महबूब समझिए जरा मौके की नज़ाकत. के खरीदी नहीं जा सकती हसीनों की इजाज़त. नाज़ इतना मेरी जान, नाज़ इतना भी नहीं खोखले वादों पे कीजिए. आज की रात मजा हो सका आँखों से लीजिए. आज की